family? Listen, first-time listener, or you've been here the whole damn time. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, giddy up, let's go, no notes.
That's my baby. That's my baby.
We're going at it at 110%.
I just want 5 minutes of happiness, please. Just give me 5 minutes.
And they scored! They did it!
Slap.
What the hell was that?
Oh, yeah!
What the f*** are you talking about?
All right, welcome in, everyone. We are the Sports Hounds. It's Monday night, exclusively on A2DRadio.com. Brad Ryer, Doug Minkiewicz, Rob Brinkman in the house. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, X, Instagram. Download us wherever you get your podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, and iTunes. Each and every Monday, we are brought to you by Baggio's Breads, located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. Home of the best stuffed breads, tomato pie, sandwiches, cutlets, and meatballs. Mention A2D Radio for 10% off your in-store purchase. We're down to the final four in the NFL. Cinderella story, Detroit goes to San Francisco, and the heavyweight matchup in the AFC, Lamar Jackson, MVP of the league, hosting Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, and the Kansas City Chiefs. Everybody hates Taylor Swift, man. I don't care, man.
I do.
You want. I don't care, but
I do.
You don't like it. You don't. Brad hates it, of course, because he's an old curmudgeon from New York. And
Correct.
Doug, you probably don't. You probably don't like it either.
Mr. Pfizer.
Mr. Pfizer. He's getting his bag. That's for sure. I don't particularly agree with some
I don't hate the guy
on.
don't hate the guy for making money, but stop with the vaccination. I don't need to see. I don't need to see her every time he scores a touchdown. He scored plenty of touchdowns before you.
Did you see him with the heart after Taylor Bass missed
Good
the?
for him. Such a special. His brother with his shirt off, and I love that.
That was
awesome.
something, dude. Jason Kelce was hammered at the Chiefs game.
I appreciate
blowing off some steam.
The support for his brother. I appreciate that.
He was jumping out of the box. He was grabbing little kids to meet Taylor Swift. He was out of control. You see him do the shot out of the bowling ball on Instagram?
Yes.
I mean, those people are crazy up there. They have really good fans. They're absolutely insane, and they just always come up short. But we're going to start. I have their hoodie on. I have their hat on. I'm mad at them. I hate them right now, but I still love them. I'm still a fan. We're going to talk about the fate, future, present of the Philadelphia Eagles, our poll question tonight. The Philadelphia Eagles quit on the 2023 season. Doug, we exchanged some emails about this as the game was going on last Monday night. What say you about the Eagles' performance or lack thereof down the stretch of this season?
Saying they quit's a little harsh. I don't think they quit. I used to hate that when fans would think that. But we talked about this on this show probably like 3 months ago when they made the switch from defensive coordinator. It seems like you could say it was going downhill at that time, but it seemed like it got gradually worse after that. And we talked about it on this show about how like there's something going on behind closed doors that's not being leaked, that it's obvious by their play. There's some kind of dissension going on. It just seemed like every move that was made, it just didn't seem like the players responded to it very well. Coaching's like everybody loves the first year coach or the first, it's great. It's a new voice. And then that newness starts to wear off. Then you really tell if the guy's really a good fit for the club or not. Like if you can continually find, like there's a lot of one-hit wonders in the sports. I just feel like something is missing. Like that's like it looked like the staff lost the club. They lost the team. This didn't seem to, like we always talk about this on the show. Where's the adjustments? Like where were they? They just seem to lack. It almost looked like for me, from a guy that's watching that from afar and not really a fan of the team, it just seemed like there wasn't any like almost like they knew the game plan going in was going to fail, but they had to go through it anyways. Like you talked about it countless times. We don't ever use motion. They never use motion. They never try to make it easy on their quarterback. They run the same 4 to 6 plays every time. Defense never quite got better. Like the switch was supposed to make them better, and it just didn't. It got worse. There's a lot of I think it's not something that's come out publicly, but the fact that the staff is back alarms me about the Eagles moving forward.
Well, they're going to have a press conference they're going to have their extra press conferences on Wednesday. Desai and Patricia on the defensive side, they're gone. They've already been fired. And the Brian Johnson hasn't been officially announced yet, but it seems like the insiders on Twitter and whatnot are reporting that he's not going to be back either. There's reports that him and Jalen didn't get along, which I thought that's why he got hired, because he was like boys with Jalen from high school. So they weren't seeing eye to eye. That's a huge problem. So, do you think Nick should be gone as well?
It always starts with the coordinator's fault, right? You fire the fireables, and then you keep running through coordinators, and eventually it finally gets turned on the main guy, right? Like, it just seems like what you just said. That guy was brought in because him and Jalen were tight, but they weren't seeing eye to eye. It doesn't seem like that doesn't like always doesn't add up. I just the head guy again, like it's where sports is now, right? They hire the young guy, right? The Dolphins have a ball boy running their team right now, but like everybody wants to be their friend, but you don't and they have success right away. Like Soriano went to the Super Bowl last year, but something went wrong. Like they're like decisions that are made under the head coach, players react to that. It just seems like, and it shouldn't happen that way. I understand it. You're supposed to be a professional. You're supposed to be able to. Doesn't matter who's at the helm. You have a job to do. You do your job regardless who your boss is, right? But in today's world, and in every world for that matter, it always happens. Like people react better when they like the coach, but something gets lost, and that's where you goes back to like you look at the guys that had the duration, like long tenures. You think Bill Belichick tried to be the player's friend? No. Like Nick Saban doesn't really care what his players think of him. He gets them to do a better job, and that's it. And there's something to that. I'm not saying they're disliked, but there's also there's a respect level you can't cross. And when you hire these young guys, like how do you expect a player? I know from my perspective, if a young coach came up to me and was questioning something I was doing, if it wasn't in favor of what I thought was best for me, the question always comes up, how would you know? Like, what the hell do you know? Like, I was doing this when you were, shitting in a diaper. And now you're going to tell me what I've done my whole life. I have to do something wrong. And that's just one of a possible reaction from a player. And if you do that enough times, you lose a club and you lose a team. And something I feel like is going to come out in the next 6 to 8 months or preseason next year. You'll probably find out about what happened. You go 10-1 and all of a sudden you can't get out of your own way and they're making switches and all this stuff and the team never rebounded. That team that went 10-1 is the same team that lost the last 7 of 8 or whatever the hell it was. So something happened in the middle there. You can say injuries, all that stuff, but something happened internally that hasn't come out yet that I wouldn't be shocked when it does come preseason next year.
Brad, what happened? What happened in Philadelphia?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. First of all, for whatever reason, your defensive line didn't get to the quarterback. That's number one. Number two, your secondary is very slow. And, it's that Gardner Johnson guy that you guys had last year, who was a ball hawk, and look at how good he is on Detroit. I think you miss him. I think that was the guy you needed to try to figure out how to keep. I mean, listen, it's always what do you call it? It's always 2020 when you're looking back. So you can always second guess somebody, but I believe you were first guessing them when he was a free agent that you really wanted him back. And I think that really hurt because they didn't really have the bull hawk back there. And I've been telling you about Bradbury. You
did.
I warned you guys about him. He's good. He's good his first year, and once he's comfortable, then the real Bradbury comes out, and it's not good. And he looked like there was one play where he looked like he didn't even feel like tackling the guy. I can't remember what play it was, but it was a pass. It was a short pass where the guy kind of just ran past him, and he kind of just stuck a shoulder out a little bit, like an alligator arm shoulder. You know what I mean? Like he made
Deion Sanders can do that. James Bradbury can't.
Well, yeah, because Deion Sanders, if that doesn't work, he'll run him down.
You didn't pay Deion to tackle. You paid Deion to pick balls off.
Right, but Deion could always run and just jump on the guy's back until he falls. That was kind of his way of tackling. He didn't take his shoulder and go in there and hit a guy below the knees and try to tackle him. That wasn't his shtick. He kind of jumped on him, which is fine. You're Deion Sanders. You're the greatest cornerback who ever played the game. So okay, that's fine. But I think that was part of it. I think there is some age that is a bit of a problem. The offensive line, for whatever reason, Kelsey was still good and Lane Johnson was still good, but what happened to the other three guys? It just seems like, what I can't believe, Rob, is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that game against the Giants, as much as I was enjoying it, I was in shock because I'm sitting there saying to myself, what the hell? Who are these guys? What the hell's going on? Are we sure that the Giants weren't the team in green, in white and green, and the Eagles weren't the team in blue? Because that just didn't look like the Eagles, and I don't know what happened. Maybe the only thing I can think of is maybe some of their guys are getting old, and maybe that game against the 49ers when they got shellacked that game, maybe that game just took the oomph out of them. Because it just
I actually think it was the game after against Dallas that took put a lot of doubt in their mind, because that was San Francisco's Super Bowl. Like, San Francisco was loaded for bear for that game. They pulled out all the stops to win a Week 13 regular season game, and they were clearly better than the Eagles. But when it happened 2 weeks in a row, I think that was when the tide started to turn. I don't know why. That put it over the edge, but that was the turning point of the season. Because
I think
Miami went to the playoffs. They beat
the gauntlet
them.
They played, Rob. The gauntlet they played was really tough.
They did
they had
well.
To play a bunch
they did
of good
well
teams.
In it though, Brad.
They were crushing it for a while, and then all of a sudden it's like either they ran out of gas. As I said, I don't know. Maybe the 49ers hurt their will, and then Dallas crushed their will. Maybe that's it, because it just doesn't seem like after that 49er game, it just doesn't seem like they were the same team after that.
What's that like when
I just got exposed. Maybe San Fran exposed something that everybody else jumped on and kept exposing. I just don't. Like I said, there's something. I'm going to stand by that. I just think there's something else that has happened behind closed doors to trigger this. You can say what you want about the coordinators, but at the end of the day, it's the head coach's job. If they know they're not on the same page, your job is to get them on the same page, right? That's your job. We got to win a game here, guys.
Absolutely.
Have you ever? I didn't watch every game of the Eagles, but I watched a lot of them because of this show. I never heard any commentator say at any point they sat down this week and they said that this is the play that Jalen likes and they want to run this more. Never heard that. They just kept doing the same thing over and over and over again. Take out the tush push and what? When did they go?
They didn't even do that. They didn't even do that right.
They couldn't even do that in that game.
And that's you got every team got older for the most part with their same guys. You're a year older. How do you go from a Super Bowl team that really outplayed the Chiefs in the Super Bowl to where you couldn't win a game for a month? And like Brad, you talked about it, the pass rush. Where was it? Well, something like when you have defense is based on a pass rush, you better have guys who can cover a little bit. Otherwise, your pass rush is negated, and it's like they go hand in hand. If you don't have one or the other, your pass rush protects your corners or your corners protect your pass rush. And when they're both not doing what they're supposed to be doing, you have a disaster. And that's basically what happened after the 49er game.
Yeah. So you keep saying something's going to come out about behind closed doors. You have any idea what it could be? Is it something that Nick did or Nick didn't do? Because Nick, I mean, a young coach, had a lot of success early in his career. You remember he's mouthing off in Kansas City in the tunnel. He's always barking at fans. Could that have gotten old quick? And then, if you're going to be like that, you better be winning games. It's like Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly was a jerk off here in Philadelphia, but he went 10-6, 10-6. You could be a jerk off if you're going 10-6, 10-6. But then it went south, and he got himself fired pretty quick.
Well, I think it's more like I think if it was something that he was doing, I think this would have been a great out for the owners to get rid of the head coach. So someone upstairs really likes him and really believes him, hence why he's still back, hence why they fired everybody but him. Basically, both coordinators are gone, right, for the most part. Am I right about that?
Yes.
That's pretty much
not
to say,
Johnson,
not officially yet, but there's going to be some changes. So he's got to get out of jail free pass somewhere in there.
For now.
He gets one. I guess he's good enough to get one more chance, I suppose.
Because I get it. I don't blame. I'm not saying to fire the head coach. I'm not saying that at all, because at the end of the day, you went to the Super Bowl last year and you were 10-1. To have a team fall off as bad as it was, you're still 3 months away from being 10-1 and coming off a Super Bowl. So, if he gets fired, who the hell's safe? So that being said, but I just feel like the players are again, that's what makes head coaches that have longevity so special, because they adapt and they don't change. Maybe he changed. Maybe he did something different. Maybe, you start to see the true side of somebody after 2 years. Who knows? But there's all kinds of outliers in this, in my opinion, where something's not adding up to what happened to them at the end of the year. Every team has injuries. You still look remotely close to what you should be. You look like a shell of yourself, but you still see what your team is good at. And at the end of the year, you couldn't tell what that was, right? You didn't have anything. You kept doing the same stuff, but the same things you were complaining about the last 3 weeks, you were complaining about the first 3 weeks, but they kept winning, right?
Right.
A lot of screen passes. We just don't run the ball anymore. We have Swift. We never use them. But they were winning. So it got, you put a wig on a pig. Is that what happened? So you get one more shot. I feel like once you start firing coordinators, the next year, the head guy goes.
And I am happy that he's going to be back. I mean, I'm not – if they went the other way and fired him, I wouldn't have been, up in arms. This guy shouldn't have been on fired. He didn't deserve that defense team, Nick Sirianni, with the way the season ended. But, at the end of the day, he's going to be back. Perhaps this was a humbling experience to him because, there was a point. The Eagles played 29 football games. They won 27 of them. Mm-hmm. It was a bananas amount of success for a young, inexperienced head coach. So maybe Nick takes a piece of humble pie and learns from this and can become better, a better asset.
That's what happened, though. Maybe everybody loves each other when you're 10-1, right? You can't say anything wrong. But you find out true colors when you lose for a month. What kind of, you start to see a side of a guy that you didn't think you'd ever see, right? The thing wow, this guy's never, look at him. We lose 3 games and he's freaking out, just stuff like that. And maybe that's what happened. But I just feel like something is not being said. Granted, in Philly, in Dallas, in Philly, New York, you usually find that stuff out. There's always a leak somewhere. You think you would have already heard about it, but I really feel like because still coming back. They're protecting him, and you're not finding out. You don't ever find out a lot of stuff in sports when it immediately happens unless it's a bombshell, right? I just feel like, don't you always hear like, well, last year, we didn't say anything, but like players' injuries. You're like, why is he slower this year? Well, he come out, well, my knee was banged up. You didn't learn about it when he first did it. You learned about it at training camp the next year because everybody comes back and I'm in the best shape of my life. Well, last year's team, we went through this. We've learned from it. We're moving forward on it. We're working on patching our relationship. Boom. You don't ever find out about it now.
And I don't want to be the team that fires their coach every year.
Right. That doesn't help
You don't want
either.
to be that team. That doesn't
No.
help you. Brad, should Sirianni be back?
I think he deserves a chance to fix it, just because last year you were in the Super Bowl and you were 10-1. I don't know what happened. I think it could be, you could. I think Howie Roseman deserves a little blame because he may have just gotten too many older players, and they relied too much on their pass rush, and they didn't really, and he hates linebackers. Maybe this year he'll learn his lesson and he'll actually go out and get serious about trying to get a couple of linebackers back there to help out the secondary. I think that's part of it. I think Darius Slay was not healthy when he came back. I think he rushed himself back and he wasn't ready to play. There's a lot of things to it. I think Fletcher Cox is kind of done. I just think there's a lot of guys on that team that are going to be free agents this year that probably will not return. And Howie is going to have to, in my opinion, he's going to have to let some of these guys that are 30 plus years old go and bring in some younger, more athletic players to replace them, especially on defense. I know the offense, I think that one guy, who was that one guy, Malaysia? Is that his name?
Jordan Mailata, the right tackle.
Yeah. I'm sorry. He from what I heard, he was out of shape and he was not really,
I didn't hear that about Mailata. I heard that about Jordan Davis, the nose tackle out of Georgia. Cheeseburger Eddie, I call him.
The offensive,
puffing down the field.
A couple of the guys.
It's like the first quarter.
A couple of guys on the offensive line just didn't look the same. They did try to run the ball against Tampa Bay, okay, and the first couple of drives they were trying to, and they couldn't. Now, did they abandon the run because they didn't think they could do it, or did they abandon it because they panicked? Well, I don't know. To me, it's they need to be smart enough to understand that some of the guys need to go. They need to move on from some of these guys, and sometimes when you keep too many guys together, there's also a bit of complacency that happens. Most football teams change about 20% of their players every year. Is that about right, Doug?
I would think so.
Yeah.
With
So I think the Eagles have been trying their best to hang on to as many of these guys as they possibly can. I think at this point, there are some guys that they're just going to have to cut bait with.
But I also it's hard though because like everybody wants to get younger, but like you have to draft those guys. Like they're like the guys that are upgrades aren't just out there, and if they are out there, they cost us a fortune. So that's the problem that the NFL is in. Like you only have small windows to where you really can pin your ears back and put a team around guys that you expect to have a chance to win the whole thing, and that's every team faces that.
Yeah, the one thing that Howie does well is draft. He's really good at that.
Yes,
and
I agree with that.
Yeah, but I do think that some of these older players are gonna. He needs to cut bait with them. If they need to retool a little bit next year, to reopen the window, then that's what they need to do. It can be done rather quickly, as the Green Bay Packers showed you. It can be done, and it can be done a lot faster than most people think. So, who would have thought Green Bay at the beginning of the season would end up being as good as they were? And quite honestly, if it wasn't for a late, inexperienced play that Jordan Love made, they may have been able to, who knows, maybe they could have advanced against the 49ers.
They should have won. They should have won.
They could have. I don't know if
They were a
should have,
little
but
more
they could have.
seasoned. I mean, they're like, I think that statistically they're the youngest team in the whole league.
Yeah, by a
They
lot.
were like a little more seasoned. I think they would have won that football game.
Yeah, listen. That was the first time Jordan Love has been on the stage like that, and I thought he did great. You know what? He's Green Bay is going to be the sexy pick next year to win the Super Bowl. I can guarantee you that, or to be in the Super Bowl in the NFC. They'll be the new sexy pick, kind of like Detroit.
I'll tell you what, if they get like a big time number one receiver for Love, I mean, they have some nice pieces there that can catch the ball and do some things. But man, if they got Jordan Love like that big go-to, big time receiver,
well, you could say that
could
about
be
a lot of
offense.
teams. You could say that about a lot of teams, though.
But like, I mean, their GM is really good. They have a really well balanced team.
And you know what, LaFleur,
go-to guy.
Give LaFleur some credit. Because, you know,
Tremendous
he's taken
coach.
a lot. Yeah, he's taken a lot of abuse, and you know, he didn't deserve it. He had a nutty guy by the name of Rodgers as his quarterback, and you know, again, it's kind of hard to coach when you got a guy like that on your team.
No, did they do better? Yes, but like let's not overstate. Like they beat a overhyped Cowboys team too.
Yeah, but they smoked them. It's not like they won 27-24. They
beat an overhyped Cowboys team. With a guy who can't play in January.
Right. Exactly.
So I mean, they did get better. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, but at the end of the day, it goes back to one thing: if you have a quarterback, you have a shot. If you don't have a quarterback, you have no shot.
Precisely, and that's
speaking of the quarterback position. Jalen Hurts got $250 million to play quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles for the foreseeable future. He's not going anywhere. You had his rookie year, his first year starting. He couldn't throw the ball, couldn't read a defense. It was horrendous. Ironically enough, that season also ended in Tampa Bay. Then he has an MVP caliber season where they almost win the Super Bowl. I think he should have won the MVP last year. And then you had this season, which was just like a meh kind of a season for a guy who just got paid $250 million. You know, he started off with the turnover. He was a turnover machine. Then they started winning some games against some good opponents in the middle there, and he was pretty good. They beat the Rams, they beat Doug, they beat your Dolphins, they beat the Bills, and then it all fell apart. Like it's like a C- at best for $250 million quarterback. That's not good enough.
Okay, here's a question. Here's a question to you. Do you think they used him the same way this year as they did last year to get that contract? Just because he makes $200 million, did they try to make? My question is, do you think they try to make him do more because they had to pay him the money?
I'm very interested to see where Brian Johnson goes and what kind of success he has. Because I'll be damned if Brian Johnson doesn't go to a team with a quarterback with a little bit more of a pocket presence, maybe a little bit more of a stronger arm. You know, someone who steps up in the quarterback and doesn't run backwards or out of the pocket every time he gets scared of the blitz, that his offensive scheme won't look a little better. Because, look, we killed Jonathan Gannon in this city after the Super Bowl. And the whole time they were on their way to the Super Bowl. Said he sucked and his scheme was no good. And guess what? Pretty much the same defensive talent. Is that fair to say, Brad?
Yeah.
From the Super Bowl team to this team?
Other than what's his name? The guy that's on Detroit now, the linebacker, Johnson, right?
Yeah. So Jonathan Gannon, who sucked, said it. Everyone in Philadelphia said it. Everyone on this platform said it. So with the same talent, one guy that we hated, Jonathan Gannon, schemed the team to the Super Bowl and the most sacks in NFL regular season history. You know, the new guy comes in and they don't get sacks for weeks at a time. It's the same players. So, and now Jonathan Gannon gets a head job in Arizona and overachieves.
Okay, but hang on a second. That's another thing too. Like, you guys were ahead last year when you broke all those sack records.
True.
You were up, but you're up by 1 or 2 scores, and that changes everything on your defense. You can have the best pass rushers in the league. and the best corners in the league, if you're down or you're only up by 3 points, that kind of changes things. You can't just pin your ears back and go get the quarterback. So that they all go hand in hand. They're all tied schematically together. Like if your offense is struggling, yeah, you're still winning, but the sack numbers go up astronomically when you're ahead by 2 scores and you don't have to worry about the run. And you just, all right, they're going to throw it 80% of the time. We're going to go get them. And that's how that, I mean, that's, go ahead.
Yeah, no, valid points. Valid point. Valid counter argument. I'm just saying, like, we had a guy who was terrible as a starter, progressed into an all-world MVP candidate, and now has an average season. Which one's the truth? Because he's making $250 million.
Like which one? Like what changed? Like what did you see a different? Did you see them do the same things that made Jalen successful to where you gave him that money, or do you think they tried to do like more with him than what? Because sometimes, a lot of times guys get a contract, and then not only fans, but front office, and even the player themselves think like, okay, I just got paid $200 million. Now I've got to be this. Well, no, because the money you're making now, you earned before. That's the player you were. They don't rarely pay you on potential. Potential doesn't get paid. Like every time you try to pay someone on potential, you end up getting screwed. Because now you're trying to make someone do more than what they're capable of doing, when before was just good enough. Like, my point is, like, if you try to like make him somebody he's not, now you're getting less numbers, and you're putting him in positions to not be as good as he was last year. And that's why I was just curious. I didn't see him enough the year before to make that comment. So I was like, I was just curious. Did you see the same style of like throws and routes and offensive schemes from one year to the next, and he just regressed? Or did they try to force him to be somebody he's not?
I think they tried to force him to be somebody he's not.
I think they did early.
Yeah, I think they were force feeding him to throw a lot of passes to your boy AJ Brown to make him happy, and I think that they're really better off, doing a lot of the RPOs. And when the defense when they bring 8 guys in the box, then you go to AJ Brown and Devontae Smith and those guys. I mean that's what made it so dangerous, because they were using his legs more. I mean, I just wonder if maybe his legs were bothering him. Maybe he was hurt and he couldn't run the ball as much. Because I mean,
or they were trying to save him from. They want longevity.
Yeah, did he not seem a little slow to you? Running. I mean, there was one play because I remember distinctly when they forced him to run to the left, where he just seemed slow and they caught him. I mean, and last year, when he started to take off, nobody could catch him. I mean, he'd make a beeline out of bounds and get an angle and almost never get hit because he was so fast. And I'm just wondering, could he have been hurt and nobody said anything, which slowed him down? That's the other thing. I mean, he's not this freak athlete that like a Lamar Jackson is. Yes, he's a mobile quarterback, and like yes, he can do some things with his legs, but like Lamar Jackson, he can sit back there, take one step, be at top speed, and he's gone. That's not Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts needs to see it, read it, and go, and then he can make a play. Like it almost has to be predetermined that he's either going to take the first read or run. Jalen Hurts is not good at progressing through a defense with these 2, 3, 4 progression read routes. And maybe that's what Brian Johnson was trying to do with him. I don't know. And then, Doug, to your point earlier, I'm usually a big the truth lies somewhere in the middle guy. Like when I see a guy who has a bad year, and we see this in baseball all the time too, because guys have career years when they want to get paid. And I think that's the biggest sport that this is true in. But it works in football too. Like you had one bad year where they got embarrassed in Tampa in the wild card round. Then you lost the Super Bowl where he should have been the MVP of the league. And then you had a season that was okay and ended in disaster. Can it be better if you tweak it through things? Maybe, but like he doesn't stink.
No.
But I also think he's not the MVP of the league.
No.
I think the truth lies somewhere in the middle there.
Let's
like he needs things.
they always talk about like you're never as good as you think you are, and you're not as bad as they think you are. You're somewhere in the middle. That makes sense. And that's because front offices always try to do things that like to knock you down and keep the cost down. So I think now if this happens next year, I'd be concerned. But just like the plan you just laid out, athletes are the elite of the elite for a reason. They have a knack of when all the cards are down and they have a bad year, it motivates them to be the best they could ever possibly be. And sometimes you always talk about baseball, right? Guys can't handle failure. Well, no, they can't handle success. Super Bowl, got paid, mediocre year. Now you see most elite winning, right? The elite winners of all time, right? When they have a down year, which is not a down year for everybody else, a down year is for them. How do they respond? They usually come back with a vengeance. So we'll see. We'll see what I would think. Jalen Hurts doesn't seem like a guy that rests on his laurels. I mean, the guy's had to earn everything he's ever gotten. I mean, that's the one thing you have I admire the most about him, because lost his job, didn't cause a ruckus, transferred, became a dude, second rounder, had to sit behind, all of a sudden gets a job, now he gets paid. I don't see that guy's MO like taking his foot off the gas. I just think he had a bad year. He tried to push. I think he tried to force the ball early, and those like interceptions to me are like errors in baseball. No quarterback or no infielder wants to see them on the sheet, but it doesn't define how well your season was, because just like an error could be a ball that takes a bad hop and goes off your body. It's not really an error. Or because you get to more balls, you make more errors than the guy who just stands in one place. Interceptions, there's a lot of factors that go into interceptions. Late in the game, you're forcing the issue, you're down, guy runs the wrong route, off step, tip pass, blah, blah, blah. So like those can add up. I don't look at how many interceptions a guy throws and be like, wow, he's horrible. So like his interceptions were up, yeah. But like, do I expect more production? I truly think there's a lot of ways they can create schematically to make him a hell of a lot more efficient than what he is.
It's interesting. I'm really interested to see what type of job Brian Johnson gets next year and what his scheme looks like with, I guess, a different style of quarterback.
That's on the front office, though. You hired the guy with knowing Jalen Hurts going to be your quarterback. Like that's, and then, don't get me wrong, it happens everywhere. I mean,
I get it.
It happens everywhere.
Bad hire. They didn't get
that happens everywhere. It happens everywhere.
Yeah.
Like you try to force a square peg into a round hole. It happens in every sport. It happens in every walk of life. You think you have this mythical, magical thing. Well, it's going to work. No, it's not. Like they just keep making the same mistakes again. Like you have each team has the head coach has a way he wants to run the game, right? Wants what kind of team he wants. And then like the GM drafts something completely opposite. I'm like, well, he doesn't even fit in what we're doing, but they force it, right? That's what doesn't make sense. Like, why would you hire him if you should have done your homework before? That's where I'm lost at. Like, unless something changed midstream, we're like, nah, man, that's because I would think I've never been a coordinator, I've never been a head coach in the NFL or any football team besides Pop Warner, but I would think when you're interviewing guys for the job, you already have a notion in your head of the guys that like, man, because they all know each guy and what the system is they run, and you always think like, man, if you had that system with this guy, man, that'd be awesome. It just doesn't seem like that was ever a fit from the start.
Nope. Brad, Eagles look like they're planning to interview former Giants defensive coordinator Wink Martindale for their vacant defensive coordinator position.
Do you like teams that blitz all the time?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then you'd love Wink then, because that's.
I don't think the Eagles have the personnel to do that though. But yes, I like teams that blitz all the time.
Okay.
You listen to me talk for the last 7 years on this station.
Yeah. Well, I was saying that to be a little sarcastic.
I love teams that blitz.
I was being sarcastic. Well, the Giants
press blitz the shit out of them, and let's see what you got. And if you want to beat my blitz, and then it's on me to adjust. That's the type of defensive coordinator I would be, and that's the kind of defensive coordinator that I want.
Well,
I grew up
Wink.
watching Jim Johnson here in Philadelphia.
That's Wink.
So
Wink
I
does
think that I'll like him, but I don't know if that's a successful fit.
Well, the problem is you can make your team blitz, but you've got to have guys who are good when it comes to blitzing. And the problem was with the Giants is that their linebackers now. Okereke was really good this year, okay, and Kayvon Thibodeau was really good, and Dexter Lawrence was pretty good. But I mean, your other linebackers have to be able to blitz, and your nose tackle has to stop people, and your quarterbacks actually have to cover people, and when you're exposed one-on-one, that has to be better. And that the Giants were kind of feast or famine this year defensively. There were games when their defense looked terrific. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it and sit there and say they were great, because they had games where they were horrible, but there were games where their defense was just unbelievably good. And then they had these games like the game against Oakland and the game against Oakland. What am I saying? Vegas, the Raiders, the game against the Saints, they were terrible. The two games against the Cowboys, they were disgracefully bad. The game against the Dolphins, they were really bad. You get those games, and then you see some of the games that they played, like against the Bills, against the Packers, kind of, and you wonder, well, why can't they do that every week?
So inconsistent defensive coaching.
Well, it's you have to.
I don't think they should hire. I don't think
that he's the right guy for the Eagles. I like him. I think his defense is very entertaining, but you've got to have the right team to do that. Like if he was coaching, if he was the defensive coordinator, like for the 49ers, oh my God. I mean,
with 15 all pros and you only start 11 guys on your defense.
Yeah.
So he'd be good there. Yeah. Hot take, Brad Ryer.
Yeah. If he was coaching the Ravens, he'd be doing really well. If he's got the right defense that has guys who are speedy in the speedy linebackers who can get to the quarterback, that's the kind of team that Wink would be really effective. If you just got average linebackers that aren't really good at pressuring the passer, you're going to get killed. So I don't know that he's the right guy for it. If you're talking Ron Rivera, now you're talking Ron Rivera. He'd be a good defensive coordinator.
I mean, the last time he was a defensive coordinator, going back a ways, I think it was 2012. There's then San Diego Chargers had the number one defense in the league. He's a defensive mind. He coached in Philly before. He gets it, or at least should get it. Laurie seems to be comfortable with them. Look, they're going to have. I would venture to guess the Eagles are going to have two former head coaches as their offensive and defensive coordinator, whether it's Frank Reich and Rivera or someone else of super experienced, been around the league.
I'd be careful about Frank Reich. Sometimes it's best not to look back.
I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, I'd be careful about him. But there are guys that are out there who you can bring in. Would be a terrible idea to bring in Bill Belichick's buddy McDaniels to coach their offense?
Yes. No, I don't want that guy anywhere near any. I wouldn't hire that guy to do my laundry.
He's a good offensive coordinator, though.
No. No.
Okay.
Never. No.
Just bring it up. Just
bring
him
Mike
up.
You take Mike McDaniels will be great.
Well, how about my head coach steps up and calls the plays and is the offensive coordinator?
But can he really do that?
But like I said it a couple weeks ago. Like if you're not calling plays in offensive defense and there's questions about whether you still have command of your locker room, then what are you doing? There's no point in even having.
My question is Sirianni a figurehead? okay, or does he actually get involved in play calling on both sides of the ball?
I don't know what he does.
Yeah, that's really if he's just a figurehead and the other guys and his coordinators did all the X's and O's and called all the plays, that's a problem. That's a really
problem.
bad problem for the Eagles. You know, that's not good. Maybe that was the issue. I mean, I don't know. But perhaps that was an issue. Now I know with the Giants in their case, okay, the guy they let Kafka go, the offensive coordinator, and they let Wick Martindale quit, okay, because they were complaining that Dable was impossible because he like went berserk on these guys all the time, and they were tired of it. And my comment about that is that, you know what, because you're doing a shitty job, you got chastised by your boss. You know, put on your big boy pants and take it like a man and do your job better. But you know, that's just me being, you know, old school, you know, Mr. Grinch, Mr. Grouch.
Can't say that.
That's not the way. That's not the way the world works anymore, though. Unfortunately,
you gotta hug them, and you gotta hug them and tell them and try to be their friend and tell them how great their shoes look.
Yeah, but Wick Martindale's not a kid.
I'm just saying
it doesn't matter. It's seeped through. If you're in the workforce,
well, I'm not talking about the workforce. Though. I'm not talking about the workforce. I'm talking about
but this is the workforce. I know it's different because they make an extraordinary amount of money to do play a children's game. It's still the workforce. It's still a workplace environment.
True.
If you're in the workplace environment in 2023 and you act like that, you're not gonna last. You're just not.
No.
So you're saying Bill Parcells couldn't coach in today's game?
No, it would be a disaster. I can't even believe. Like, I don't think Bill Belichick is gonna. It's
all
tough
the great coaches. All the great coaches right now. Bill Belichick, Nick Saban, as much as it pains me to say that in college football, if they were young right now, they would not get hired. Period.
Nope.
That explains everything you need to know about going forward. You're talking about the winningest outside, one of the most Super Bowls, first ballot shoe-in Hall of Famer, and a guy who won 7 national championships. They would not get hired in today's world. Think about that for a second. That's what we're missing out on because we want to hire ball boys who wear capri pants on the sidelines and sprint to the locker room and put up 7 points and a half against any decent team. Like that's the reality of it. They want to make hard knocks, and they want the soundbite, and they want that's the reality. They don't want, like I said, that like the 2 greatest coaches in college football and NFL history would not be hired today.
Well, I think Belichick is going to get hired.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what team desperately needs to hire him to win is the Buffalo Bills. That is the place where he needs to go, and the Buffalo Bills will win the Super Bowl.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that they wouldn't. I'm saying they get hired now. That's different because of their reputation would follow them, and they would need, because they've had people there who they took the ball boy with the capri pants, and they can bring him in for a couple of years. But if they were young now,
yeah, I got what you're saying.
Okay.
This whole Belichick situation is weird. So I don't think he wants to coach anymore, but I think his ego is getting in his way, and he wants that all-time record. So he's gonna waste someone's time for a couple of years so he gets that record. It's probably gonna be Atlanta because they seem to always make bad choices, and he's interviewed twice already with them. I don't know.
And how come he's not coaching there already?
I mean, why is that selfish though? Why is that selfish if he has a chance and he still wants to coach? Why wouldn't you?
I get it. If someone's going to hire him, then I don't know.
Everybody thought he was going to coach San Diego, right? Because they have Justin Herbert, and he'll have a great quarterback. Well, for God's sakes, you probably have the 3rd best quarterback in the entire NFL, or at least the top 5 quarterback, Josh Allen. Okay, who wouldn't want to have that guy as your starting quarterback? Okay, could you imagine how good the offense would be with a coach like that and a guy who also can seem to find receivers who will fit into Buffalo's system and also improve their defense, which really does need to be improved, and maybe stop Kansas City from scoring so many damn points in the first half.
No, I don't. If the Bills want to fire their guy, I'll take him in South Florida.
Yeah, I think he's the problem. I think every time they go to the playoffs, Andy Reid just takes him to school every year.
Well, Andy Reid's a little bit. I mean, Andy Reid takes 99% of the league to school,
but he won't take Bill Belichick to school.
Nope.
I mean, Bill Belichick. Listen, when
you just mentioned it.
Patrick Mahomes did not beat the Patriots.
You named one
That's
guy.
not
Playoffs.
I get it.
One guy. I think Bill Belichick looks around at the league and sees the guys that are running other teams and going, "Ha! I can do this shit from the grave," and outcoach 98% of these clowns.
I think you're right.
I mean, that's what would keep me going. Like, look, man, I can be dead and outcoach this guy. Like, that's the way. I mean, if I'm him, that's the way I'm thinking. I don't even need a good team. I can win on my own with coaching against this shit. It's like taking candy from a baby.
All right, let's get to some.
All right. What do you guys think about that? Bill Belichick coaching the Bills.
It's not going to happen.
Bills.
No. Yeah, no. I think. Look, places like Buffalo, like they're different.
They're loyal.
Kind of like the North. They're. It's not like they don't put coaches and players on chopping blocks like they do in Baltimore or Boston or Philadelphia.
They're lovable losers.
It's not like that every year.
They're lovable losers.
It's like the Cubs for all them years. They're lovable losers. Boston.
It's okay. We have next year. It's okay. We have next year.
And like,
I'm not so sure. I think they're pretty upset. They
went to 4 Super Bowls and lost. They're not doing anything. They're going to keep the same people.
Yeah, of course. It's 24 hours after they got their hearts ripped out of their chest. Of course they're going to be upset. They're going to let them – because you know where Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills are going to be if they stand pat? Right back in the divisional playoffs next year, playing the Chiefs. And we're going to look at 10 years, 12 years from now, and 10 straight years it's going to be Bills Chiefs in the AFC playoffs.
Right.
And Patrick Mahomes will probably win 10 of them.
And they'll get out coached every year unless they go out and they bring in a guy like Bill Belichick.
And then Josh Allen.
They had a BS pass interference call. Like, how did they get out coached?
Well,
how did they get out coached?
Stephon Diggs runs his mouth a lot, makes a lot of money, and he's got to catch the damn ball for them to have a chance. And then Buffalo really missed it. We're going to get some comments in a second, and we're going to hear from Royal Billiards.
I missed a field goal. That game's still going on.
But
exactly.
Buffalo,
I understand that. What I don't like is why are you having your quarterback throw the ball in the end zone to get a touchdown with 2 minutes to go when you were just throwing short passes and marching right down the field?
I knew Buffalo was in trouble after the first drive. First drive of the game, I knew they took the football. They went right down the field, and they kicked the field goal. If you get in the red zone, especially in the playoffs, and you don't score touchdowns, you're in trouble. They had a chance to seize that game from the start, and they didn't do it.
In the second half,
in the second half, stops looking like a jackass and actually puts 2 eye blacks under his eye. He doesn't miss wide right. He missed to the eye black side. That drives me crazy. What do you have eye black on for? You're a kicker. Just kick the ball through the uprights, dude. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, were you Billy Badass? You got 1 eye black? No, you're not Left Eye Lopez. Kick the ball through the freaking uprights.
Yeah,
he's Ray Finkel from Ace Ventura.
Right, Ace is out.
Tyler Bass choked.
100%,
okay?
Big time.
But what I don't like is the fact that when they got the ball to the 28-yard line, okay, they stopped with the short passes, and they had Josh Allen throwing the ball into the end zone deep. What was the point of doing that, Doug?
How is that the coach's fault, though?
He's the one that calls the plays.
Do you think they all ran in the end zone? All four receivers went in the end zone.
No, they were short. There were guys that he could have thrown too short.
Exactly. So stop blaming the coaches.
But if the plan
blame the coaches. Why are you blaming the coaches on that? Like I heard him. Don't forget the game the Dolphins played the Bills. Down here, he threw a slant before the end of the half with no timeouts left. The guy got tackled at the 1. He literally, in a nice way, berated Josh Allen for making a stupid play in the end zone. Not many head coaches are going to do that. Not many head coaches are going to berate a superstar. He pretty much said that was the most effed up thing I've ever seen him do. He knows better than that. Like, they don't say that. So, you have to, you can't put it on a coach for a guy who, has 2 open, the guy down over the middle, the tight end was wide open. He chose to go for the home run. But you can't, again, it goes back to, you can't blame a guy. I always say this about, it's like Favre and Josh Allen. You can't berate him for throwing a pick in the end zone and then cheer him when he makes that wild and crazy throw that ends up being a touchdown. I'd rather have that than Tua. Trust me. I'd rather have a guy
that one pass when he was running to the left and found what's his name in the corner of the end zone.
Yeah,
I'm up from the 13-yard line on 3rd and goal. That was
beauty.
That was the incredible Josh Allen. But all I'm saying though is, if a guy like Belichick was coaching the team, okay, that ball he would have been throwing short passes and killing the clock and making sure that clock ran all the way down. So, even if they didn't get into the end zone, if Bass was kicking to tie the game, it would have been right at the end of the game and not with 2 minutes to go. Because with 2 minutes to go, Kansas City probably
he missed.
Yeah, but
they threw 3 passes into the end zone. That I guarantee that wasn't the coach didn't go, all right, Josh, I want you to throw it 3 straight times into the end zone. I don't care. Just throw it as far as you can and hope for the best. They actually, it's at some point you got to be like, dude, you got to take what's open, but don't take a shot here. Just because a coach tells a player something doesn't mean the player just doesn't do it on his own.
I think there has to be a coach that will make Josh Allen accountable enough to not do something like that. That's my whole point. This guy's
Josh, but if he throws a touchdown, everybody's like, oh my gosh.
If there's nobody open, okay, you can't force it. And the whole thing
robots,
is,
though. They're not robots. They take it. They can't. You can be told 1,000 times, and you get in that moment. You want to be like that. That took him back to when he was 5 years old. Wants to take a last-minute drive to go down. I don't give a damn. Because no offense, if they put a touchdown up, they probably get the ball back with a minute left, because he learned it only takes Kansas City 18 seconds to score a field goal. So he would have had the ball back with a minute left. He probably thinking, I got 2 more shots with the ball if I score. I don't agree with that whole wait and let's take the time off the clock and blah, blah, blah. Hang on a second. Yeah, if you could, but it's not like going into the end zone is automatic. If you have a shot to take it in the end zone, go. And if you can't stop a team on one drive, what the hell? I just don't get that. Yeah, if you're going to kick a 20-yard field goal, yeah. But in January, a 31-yard field goal is not exactly a gimme. It's snowing, it's blowing like crazy. You got left eye spicing the shit out of it. It's
all those. You know what though? He wasn't the only kicker that screwed up. It seems like there were more than there's more than one kicker. The Tampa Bay kicker missed a gimme.
Yeah.
Actually, you look at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay left 6 points on the board yesterday.
Don't leave it up to a kicker.
I understand that. Fourth and 1 against that defense in that building, you got to kick a field goal and get points on the board.
Right. Hold on. Let's hear from Road Billiards. Then we'll do some.
What do you see this? How can we see? How can we show this? This is one of the best things I've ever seen. I'll try to describe it to you. Buffalo team playing heading for Cancun, and it's got a field goal in Mexico, and it's to the left.
Oh no!
All right. On that note, let's hear from Royal Billiards.
Yes.
We'll get to your comments. We'll talk about the rest of the divisional round, championship Sunday. Before we do that, Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans are hiring Bengals offensive coordinator Brian Callahan as their head coach. So one less job opening there. I don't know who Brian Callahan is. I don't know anything about him, but he's the head coach of the Titans now. All right, here's a word from our sponsor, Royal Billiards, and we'll be back right after this.
Royal Billiard and Recreation, proudly celebrating 40 years and our new, bigger showroom.
Twice the size and twice the fun.
More pool tables by Olhausen. More dartboard sets, including custom reclaimed backboards. More bar and kitchen stools that can change a room.
And more bars, including pre-built and custom.
Hot tubs, skee ball, shuffleboard, outdoor,
and fun.
Royal Billiard and Recreation, your ultimate game room store. Now located on Bethlehem Pike in Colmar.
All right, there they are, Royal Billiards. Visit them, royalbilliards.com. Tell them A2D Radio sent you. Turn any ordinary room into an extravagant gaming experience. 515 Bethlehem Pike, Colmar, PA. Again, tell them the Sports Sound sent you. Tell them A2D Radio sent you. Let's get to some comments. First comment of the night, Don19, representing Detroit. Congratulations, Don. On the doorstep. One step away. He disagrees with the poll. I don't think they quit. I think the schemes on both sides suck, referring to the Eagles. Michael Conroy, they gave up 800 yards to Sam Howell. The Niners had nothing to do with it. I mean, Michael, the Niners did have something to do with it because the Eagles, they let up a bunch of yards to Sam Howell and the Washington Commanders, but they won those football games. What'd you say, Doug? A wig on a pig earlier?
Yeah, put a wig on a pig. It covers all the warts.
There was warts all over the place.
That's so good.
And then, the wig, they couldn't find it against the Niners and the Cowboys, and they got exposed and they lost. So, I do think the Niners had, and the Cowboys for that matter, had a very much to do with this team's downfall. I think they got kicked in the teeth and realized they weren't that good, and it all went downhill from there. They were bad all year, just made excuses. Almost lost to Pats, Commanders, should have lost a lot of others. I mean, but they didn't. I just don't like that narrative. I don't like that argument. Yeah, but they're 10-1, but okay. They should be 5-5, but they're not. They're 10-1. Winning's a skill. I say that. I've been saying that for a long time too, haven't I, Brad? Winning is a skill set.
Yeah, it's a skill. It is a skill set, and I agree with you about that. There's no question about that.
Derek Jeter could have gotten drafted by the Royals, and I think he would have had the same amount of championships. Tom Brady could have got drafted by any team in the NFL, and he still would be the greatest quarterback of all time. That's just my opinion on some guys are just winners. Some guys aren't. Some cultures, some teams have winning cultures, like the Chiefs and the Patriots for all them years. And, teams like the Falcons and the Mets and the Sixers are always early exit, wondering what happened.
Or you can have a dog.
I was trying to be nice.
No, don't be nice. Be honest. Okay, I can handle truth.
The shoe fits.
I can handle truth.
The Eagles have way more of a coaching problem, such as play calling problem on offense than defense. Their offense is stacked and used it wrong, with not enough running the running backs. 100% agree with they didn't run the ball enough. DeAndre Swift would have led the league in rushing with how he was running the ball this season if he got the opportunity. Defense is a personnel problem, not a coaching problem. I don't necessarily agree with that. It's both. Maybe a little coaching on defense, but it was 98% personnel on defense. Most people have it backwards.
I think on that comment, I think that comment right there, but again, the offense should complement the defense. The offense puts up points. The defense does what it's supposed to do, right? You have weapons everywhere on offense. There's no reason why they shouldn't put up 31 points a game. If they would have used them right, score those points, the defense doesn't look so bad. You put the wig on the pig again, and like you win 31-17. The offense should put the defense in position to where they can do what the defense wants them to do, which is rush the quarterback, get turnovers. You can't do that when the offense doesn't put points up.
John Attic disagree. The players gave up on the coaching. The coaching was subpar, and they didn't plan to change anything after saying they had to do better. The players saw zero change and kept losing. Michael Conrad. I feel like keeping Nick means Jeffrey is thinking he and Jalen both get 1 year to save this era. I'm not there yet. I'm upset. I'm disappointed, and I want change. But
Jalen ain't going anywhere.
$250 million.
Jalen will survive the coach. Period.
Now, if you want to argue that they paid Jalen 2 years before they had to, and that was a mistake, we can go down that road. I think that's a conversation for next offseason. If he goes out and redeems himself and has a great season, Jalen's going to be here forever. And idiots like me who are down on Jalen right now are going to be singing his praises, saying he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and everything's going to be fine. So we'll see.
Could be worse. Could have Dak Prescott.
True.
For $80 million.
Well, he made a real nice pass to. Oh, that's right. That was an interception. They got run for a touchdown. Never mind.
Right, that was the wrong guy. He threw it to the wrong.
Yeah, went the wrong way. Yeah.
Jalen Hurts is a straight power runner. Lamar Jackson, Michael Vick have great mobility. His ABC, Hurts doesn't. Hurts is just a straight.
Yeah, but like, Hurts is not a guy he's never been a guy who you would say, if let's put it up 50 times. He's not the drop back, pick the guy apart guy. But that's my issue with it. They had a running back who could have taken the heat off of him and opened up easier throws, and they just refused to do it. They refused to do it.
They had Swift, and Swift was pretty good.
Yeah,
but they never gave it to him 25 times. Like
no.
That's
still had like 1,100.
I know.
Still had like 1,100 yards too.
I understand that, but it's 17 game season. But like they do it 8 times, 12 times. Like especially when they were struggling. Look, I want to win this game 9-6. Right? Where's that guy? I'm going to run it down your throat to take some heat off Jalen because, like, again, he's not – Jalen Hurts has never been a guy that you sit back, drop him in the shotgun, let him just pick guys apart. That's never been his MO, even in college. So, like, you're forcing him to do throws that, like, besides the screen, which was to nauseam, like, make it give – like, if you run the ball down people's throats like you have the ability to, you open up windows to make his life easier. And then he gets confident. They just feel like they never did that.
You're right, and he can't. He's not the kind of guy that's going to throw that's going to be effective throwing the ball 35, 40 times a game. Rob and I have talked about that ad nauseum for the last couple of years. He's not that kind of a quarterback. He's best when he's throwing the ball between 25 and 30 times, and then he runs maybe 10 times, and the other running backs get the ball 10, 15 times each. And that way you don't know who's going to have the ball and what's coming.
For the life of me, I don't understand why they don't put guys in motion. Like, if there's ever a quarterback you'd want to know if you're in man or zone, it's Jalen Hurts. Like, if he goes in motion, the guy follows him. Okay, if they're covered, guess what? I can scramble, break, go up the middle. Everybody's a man. I'm good. Like, I just don't understand that. It doesn't make any sense. If there's one guy you're going to use motion with, it's Jalen Hurts. Help the dude out.
Jalen's like a big rhythm. Sense. He's a big rhythm guy too.
For sure.
When he's in a rhythm, he's really, really, really good. And if he gets in a rhythm early and can sustain it, but like if they go have a couple 3-and-outs,
I get that, but that's got to be why they use 55 screens a game. But like that's really not getting a guy in a rhythm. You're just getting the ball out of his hand. It's like. To me, it's like the anti-rhythm throw in football, right? It's just like, oh, we got to get him in, like, okay, to get a receiver involved, but like that's not a rhythm throw for a quarterback. As soon as it gets in your hands, throw it like it's on fire. As soon as you get it, you don't even get the seams, you just throw it. Like that's not a rhythm throw for a QB. Like
no.
To me,
You're
you
right.
want
That's
to
a
get Jalen
panic
Hurts.
throw.
It's a panic throw. There's no feel to it.
I don't know what in the world the defense is doing. So take it.
Let me get rid of it. I did my part. And I'll go get run over by 4 guys.
That's the first freaking question I'm asking every potential offensive coordinator in an interview. How do you feel about the bubble screen? And if they go, "Oh, I love it. It's a great way to get a quick completions, extension of the run game." Nope. See ya.
Bye.
Flights on us.
Yeah,
We'll
wrong
get you some
answer.
lunch. Yeah.
Wrong answer.
No, wrong answer.
There's the door.
Fuck out. Yeah. Ryan Swoop. Howie needs to get his act together, start valuing linebacker and secondary, stop only looking at defense and O-line and pass rush guys early in the draft. Also bringing vet linebackers to one-year deals to compete in camp for starting position or elevating special teams guys. Need to start drafting great pass coverage linebackers and secondary guys early. I mean, I'm out on another Brandon Graham farewell tour. I get it. Great Eagle. Got drafted here, but I mean, I'm using that $10 million to do what Ryan's saying. Fletcher Cox.
What about Cox? I was going to ask you about him.
Yeah, great player. Like Super Bowl champ, had a lot of great
He's gotta
years.
go.
He's
got to go.
But I'm not paying him $10 million so he can retire as an Eagle because he wants to play. I need that cap space to address other issues on my team. Jason Kelce, as much as I love him,
he's gone.
If he's coming back, he's super cheap. Well, I don't know. Why do I feel like Jason Kelce? It's going to come 4th of July is going to roll around and he's going to want to play.
To find out
I just see that. Yeah.
Maybe he has enough money and gets a job in TV and decides.
He's definitely going to get a job in TV. So is his brother.
Millions.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got the number 2. It's Rogan number 1, and then Travis and Jason Kelce is number 2.
Yeah,
I think we're number.
He's not going to be.
I think we're number 3
for food stamps anytime soon.
No, that's what I'm saying. Does he really need to take the punishment and do all that? Because that's a punishing job being a center.
Yeah,
what's that first year like?
You're out.
What year did you retire? Doug?
2010.
What was that? What was 2011 like for you? First year not playing.
Misery.
Just because,
I wouldn't say that. I don't know. I will say it was weird, but it really got hard come October. Like watching the playoffs.
Right.
I was 2010. I May of 2010. So I started in 2010, and then I stopped in May. And I was like, first couple of weeks, you feel like you have something to need to be doing, and you're not doing it, but you're like, okay, I'm good. I don't have to do anything. And then I did some stuff for CBS, for post game stuff, for postseason stuff. That actually when me and Lauren Shahadi, when she first started, she was with CBS Sports, and we analyzed the postseason together. And I had the itch. I was like, I'm coming. I'm trying to come back. I'm going to play in 11. And then I cranked it up for about 3 weeks. And I'm like, nope, no, I'm gonna go back on the couch. This is a job. I'm only kidding myself too. I ain't got it in me no more. And you just find yourself you feel like you're late for something, right? Because you're so used to having a time frame. You're so used to having schedule, and it's just you wake up and you're like, I should be at the gym, or I should be running, or I feel like that panic when you wake up and you feel like you're late to work. I had that feeling every day, and I was like, hang on a second, I'm not late to anything. I got nothing to do. But you kind of find things to keep busy, and after a while it sets in. But it's a weird feeling because everything you've ever known since you were 5 years old is now completely changed, and it's a weird feeling.
Yeah, you were in the playoffs almost every year too.
Yeah, so it's I was like, damn, I don't know what to do.
That must have. I mean, in October, I could see how you'd be like, oh.
Yeah, because the games are fun in October. The season stinks. April through July, August is terrible. October, September, October, it's fun. It's this is what you play for.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. A couple double dates with him and Kylie and Taylor and Jason and Travis. A couple of them in the summer.
Maybe Taylor drives him crazy and he wants to get away from him, so he has to go play for the Eagles again. That's another. Maybe he doesn't like her music. Maybe he's maybe he likes Pink. Maybe he likes Katy Perry. He wants to go back to work.
Michael Conroy, AJ Brown for Diggs and a pick. Who says no?
Absolutely not.
Stop.
I would do. I as you know, I like Buffalo. I would do that. I'm very down on Diggs right now. Mr. Big Mouth, and you let a 50-yard pass go right through your arms. I mean, what the hell was that?
I don't like.
And where the hell was he? Where the hell was he last night on that last drive?
Nowhere.
Get the hell open.
Look, AJ Brown, I get it. He's a little bit of a diva. Diggs is a diva, but why are we trading AJ Brown? I don't. Every receiver, absolutely right, but why are we of all the bullshit that went on in Philadelphia this season, we're trading AJ Brown? No. AJ Brown, Devontae Smith.
Diggs is a super
talk show down here. I listen to the Joe Rose show down here every morning, and it's a Dolphin Hurricane, and Joe Rose hit it the nail on the head. Every receiver's a diva. We need more Jarvis Landrys. And he has Joe, who's older than me, but he's an older school player. And then he has a 21-year-old guy who just came, he's been on the show for 3 years. And it's the new generation versus the old. He's the young guy was what do we need a slot guy who catches 3-yard passes? I go, it's the attitude. Jarvis Landry was never afraid to go across the middle. For every 2 divas, you need a guy that's going to do the dirty work. You need an Anquan Bolden who's going to go absolutely attack the middle of the field and not care about getting.
You don't think Devontae Smith fits that mold for the Eagles?
It's too small.
I don't think.
But attitude-wise.
Oh, I think so. I think so.
Attitude-wise, yes.
100%. I trust me. I wanted him over Waddle when the Dolphins were drafting him. I just thought he had more dog in him. He's not injured. He doesn't get hurt. Waddle gets hurt every third play. Mm-hmm. But the idea that Waddle does have some toughness when he's available, that type of stuff. And I'm not saying because Tyreek Hill is tough as nails because Tua got him killed all year. But Diggs to me, it's like a head coach. We talked about the head coach today. It's Diggs was great for Buffalo, but now you start to hear him chirp. It's funny how they sort of winning games. He didn't chirp anymore. And then in the biggest game, he's quiet as a church mouse, right? Stop talking. Let your play be so loud I can't hear what you say. That's the end of the day. These guys chirp like they're the shit, and then when they need them the most, they disappear. We call that facho. It's fake macho. It's fachoism. He's a fake macho.
We just talked about we need to figure out Jalen needs to rebound.
You don't want to start rebound with
AJ Brown.
Give him a smaller diva. That's not what you need. You have AJ Megatron 2.0. Leave him alone. There's issues on this team. It ain't the wide receivers.
No, you have a pretty good tight end. I do think they need tight end another solid guy. They do need another guy some way or another.
Yeah, but you can get a slot guy at the 7-Eleven down the street. You know what I mean? There's slot guys everywhere.
I hear you.
I think they should use Smith more in the slot, personally.
And you get another guy on the outside. The Eagles use their first-round pick on a wide receiver. I wouldn't.
The only reason why I think that is because they've gone defense for so many years. If it's not a corner, it better be a receiver or a tackle or a guard.
They got an extra 2.
Yeah.
I think they have the Saints' second-round pick, which is rather high. They didn't make the playoffs.
Who is it that's who is it? Harrison's kid that's supposed to be really good?
Yeah, he's going. He'll be the first one taken though. He'll be the first receiver.
Do you think by any chance he could fall to 6?
To the Giants?
Yeah.
Ooh. I mean, it depends on what's in front of them.
Because these teams
so early
have quarterbacks and make mistakes.
Right. And the Bears are picking before that, so they'll screw it up. They always do.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking, all these teams are going to be drafting quarterbacks. Maybe he comes down and the Giants grab him.
I mean, look at
he would be a real nice pick for them.
Flowers was a first-round pick, but like the Ravens, where did they pick last year? 20-something.
Yeah, but he's really good.
He's great.
Yeah,
but that's my point. There's value in receivers in outside the first 10 picks too. Yeah,
best
there you go.
Rookie season in the history of the league. Puka Nacua for the Rams. He went in the 5th round.
The receivers are everywhere. Like that Keon Coleman kid could be there late in the first round, early second. That dude's an animal.
Well, the Giants' best receiver, Darius Slayton, they got him in the 5th round.
They're everywhere.
He's not a bad receiver.
Slot guys, honestly, you can find as undrafted free agents too. I think
Victor Cruz.
There's
an example.
What the hell was his name?
Welker
wasn't drafted.
Yep, both of them. Both Victor Cruz and Welker.
Welker pretty much put the slot position on the map.
Yes, he did. Except when he dropped that one pass against the Giants in 2011.
We traded him to the Patriots. Go figure. Our best player, the Dolphins, in 10 years, we traded him to the Patriots. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Just brain dead.
All right. Championship Sunday. Super.
As much as I want to pull for the Lions, I want the Lions to win.
They're going to win.
If the 49er team that showed up last Saturday shows up on Sunday, we're going to have a Lions-Ravens Super Bowl.
That's what I think it's going to be. I don't know because it's Mahomes.
It's hard to bet against.
I think the Lions are extremely live dog out there in San Francisco. I really, really do. I think they're going to be able to move the football, and I don't think Jared Goff, who's been playing excellent football for really like a year and a half now in Detroit, he's not going to make those rookie mistakes that Jordan Love made. The Niners should be out right now.
Right. And they don't have Deebo Samuel. And then without him, they're mortal.
That's very true.
There's their excuse.
Well, right now,
if we had Deebo, we'd be.
Right now, he's 50-50 for next week.
I mean, I'm sure he'll try to play, but it ain't going to be the same. I really think. I think the Lions. I think the Lions are going to the Super Bowl, man. I really hope Dan Campbell gets there.
I would beg to differ with that. I think it's finally going to catch up with the Lions.
If they don't have Deebo Samuel, they're not winning.
Lions defense is not that good, guys.
And neither is.
I don't think the Niners quarterback is that good. How about that? I think Brock Purdy stinks.
When it wasn't raining, he was fine. Every time it started raining, he was in disarray. But he was pretty good when it stopped raining. And that last drive, he got it done, which is more than I can say for my boy Allen.
I've never seen a quarterback throw it right in the middle, right into the hands of defensive backs. Constantly Brock Purdy does this, and all they do is drop it every time. This guy should have 5 interceptions a game, every game.
Brett Favre used to do it all the time, Rob.
It's mind-blowing. And Brett Favre threw picks.
Brett Favre threw BBs. This guy throws cotton balls, and they keep dropping it. Like there's Vaseline on the damn ball.
It's like mind-blowing. And then I'm looking at Doug, I don't know if you've noticed, but I like to bet on the games. So I'm looking at it. I'm like, well, I think the Lions are going to move the ball. I think the Lions have the better quarterback. Honestly, I think Campbell and Shanahan is a wash. Campbell might even be a little better right now. And I know the argument that people are going to say is that, the Lions beat the Rams and the Bucks, and they got a pretty good draw. But, I'm getting 7 with the Lions. I think they have a great chance to win the game. I think they'll be able to move the ball. And if I want to get froggy and bet the money line, just bet them to win outright, I'm getting 2.5 to 1 odds on my money.
Yeah, but what does that tell you?
I was not impressed by San
Francisco last
week. I was not impressed.
I think they're wrong. I think the odds makers have it wrong on this one.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. I saw Green Bay play the Lions on Thanksgiving, and the Green Bay wiped the floor with them. So before we criticize San Francisco for not blowing out the Packers, maybe the Packers are pretty good. I mean, did that ever occur to you that thought process?
Were the Packers? But Doug, But Doug, were the Packers good, or were the Packers just playing their absolute best football at the perfect time of the season?
Yeah, again, they beat a Dallas team that's the most overrated team outside of Miami. I don't care, they're at home, whatever. Green Bay played well at the end. That happens. It happens from time to time. We always talk about it's not about who you play, it's when you play them. And it's who gets hot at the right time. And how many times have we seen the number one seed get the week off and it takes them a while? Look what happened to Baltimore. They were just 10-10 at halftime. It took them a half to get going. But
boy, when they got going.
Green Bay had that game won before. They should have won that game by the end of the third quarter.
But you got to give San Francisco credit for waking up in time and rescuing the game.
Yeah, but I don't think they can do that against the Lions.
Who's a better coach, Dan Campbell or Kyle Shanahan?
That's debatable. But what makes you think that the Lions defense can stop San Francisco? Because I think San Francisco's defense will stop the Lions. The Lions are not going to
think that. What makes me think that? Because you take Deebo Samuels out of the mix, and to me, that guy's like 5 players in one. Like when
he's sensational. I agree.
When he went down early in the year, they were a very average football team.
Yeah, they lost all 3 games when he was
correct.
I remember that very well. But we don't know that he's not going to be playing either.
He didn't play the second half of a close football game, playoff game. He's going to try to play. It ain't going to be worth a shit.
Well, let me ask you a question. What are we talking about with his shoulder? Is it separated? Is it dislocated? Is it sore?
It has to be sore if he didn't dress for the second half of last week's.
Well, it sounds like he's got one of them AC joint things,
which is
they're being secret about it.
Is one hit away from feeling exactly the same way it did last week.
Yeah.
Did you ever have that injury, Doug?
Yeah, I've had similar stuff, but I never had to tackle I never had to lower my shoulder to anybody while I'm doing it. It hurts.
Right.
Like the thought of it makes me I think of Emmitt Smith when he had 2 of them at the same time going, how in God's earth did you ever run the football, let alone break rushing records with 2 dislocated shoulders?
He did that against the Giants in the playoffs.
I don't care if it's against the Powder Puff, the 9th grade Powder Puff team.
But we were talking about when the Giants had LT and all those guys. He did that. I don't care if I'm running the ball. I don't want to run the football against my mom, who's 80 years old with 2 dislocated shoulders. Like that's just different brain transfer. I mean, that's just those guys are freaking animal warriors. It's crazy.
And you get the last thing I got, at least on the NFC game. The Lions, they're 5th in the league. I think they're up at like 125 yards a game rushing the football. Niners are 3rd at stopping the run. They lit up like 83, I think it is, defensively rushing. So like there's the matchup to keep your eye on in the football game. But I'm picking the Lions. I'm picking the Lions 27-20. I think Brock Purdy chokes again. I don't know, man. There's something like these boys love Dan Campbell.
Listen,
and Jared Goff.
The guys on San Francisco also love Brock Purdy too. And I'm going 34-24 San Francisco. San Francisco is going to score a lot of points. Detroit will score some points, but I think they're not on the road. It's a little different story, and San Francisco is real tough to beat at home. I just don't see it happening.
I mean, we'll see. Doug, you want to weigh in before we talk about the AFC?
24-20 Lions.
Nice.
So you guys got me 2-1. Okay.
And I think I win $1,300 if it is a Ravens Lions Super Bowl.
Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, well,
but that's not influencing.
That's not to say
we're not talking about that right now.
That's not to say that That's not to say I'm not rooting, guys. That's not to say I'm not rooting for the Lions. Okay,
everybody's rooting for the Lions, unless you're a Niners fan.
Yeah, I didn't say I wasn't rooting for the Lions. I just don't think they're going to beat them. just not. I don't think they can do it.
I saw a lot of doubt on that 49er sideline last week. Trent Williams looked like he saw a ghost.
If it doesn't,
if
it rains, listen.
They were like, we're about to get beat. We're about to lose. Or we're about to lose.
If it rains again, then all bets are off as far as I'm concerned. But if the weather is reasonable, I just don't see it.
I just don't see them winning their first game without Deebo Samuels in the NFC Championship game.
Okay.
AFC game.
No.
I love the Ravens.
Flip a coin. This is going to be because that one's at 3, and then the NFC.
How do you
is at 6:30.
pick this? It just goes back to what Lamar Jackson shows up, the first half guy or the second half guy. If the first half guy shows up, Kansas City blows them out.
He was a little
just so good. They're physical.
He was rusty in the first half. It was bad. It was
bad.
But he was rusty too. He hadn't played. Listen, Doug,
he didn't miss a week. He didn't miss a month. He missed a week.
He missed 3 weeks.
2 weeks.
Okay. 2 weeks. All right, 2 weeks.
I don't get that though. It's football. How are you rusty?
Because if you don't play for 2 weeks, it does take a little time. You're not exactly playing against a crappy team. You're playing against the Texans who destroyed the Browns. I mean,
but it's 2 weeks. It's football.
I know, but he didn't play the last game of the season, and then he didn't play. He got a week. He got a week's bye. I just think the team was totally out of sync offensively in the first half. Okay, but they sure as hell got it together in the second half.
Yeah, they got it together. Got it together.
Yeah, they did. And listen, if you don't think their defense can't inflict punishment on Kansas City, I don't know what to tell you.
Where's the hole on the Ravens roster?
They don't have Mahomes.
They may have Andrews back
Pat
too.
Mahomes.
Yeah, okay, but they're going to have Andrews back too, though.
Then I'm hearing rumblings. Yeah, that Andrews might play.
Yeah, Andrews. They said Andrews could have played this past week, but they wanted to hold him out because they thought they could beat Houston without him. Which,
dangerous narrative in the NFL.
Dangerous narrative, but
look, Baltimore's the best team left. Period. Period.
I think they've been the best team all year. Look what Baltimore did in San Francisco to the 49ers. I mean, they just demolished them.
Mm-hmm. I just don't trust their quarterback.
You don't trust Lamar?
Mm-mm. Nope.
Okay.
I'm picking this. I think this is going to be what's the over? Let me see what the spreads are. See if that Chiefs are getting 3.5, over unders at 44. I do like a low scoring game in that AFC game. I think the NFC will be a little higher scoring.
What is it? What is the over under?
44?
44.5.
So 24-20 is a winner if you bet the under.
And I'm going to go Ravens 24-20.
Oof.
I think. I might change my mind 8 times.
They're going 2 field goals 2 field goals for the Chiefs? I don't know.
Tough to go against because then I'm looking at it, Doug. Then the gambler is looking at it like I'm getting Mahomes plus 3.5. How do I not?
Right.
Yeah.
I'd go. I would take that over.
Suppose it's really cold and the weather sucks.
Kansas City's used to that. So is Baltimore.
So is Baltimore. Yeah, it won't affect.
Baltimore's a run first team, whether it's Lamar, or Edwards, or Justice Hill, or whoever they find. Dalvin Cook.
I think if they had Pat Mahomes, they'd be a run first team. The way they play, that's just their offensive linemen are such good run blockers that does help.
I think people sleep on Kansas City's defense, though. They do this every postseason. They play well.
That defense.
They make enough.
Allow
stops.
Buffalo to have an 8-minute, 42-second touchdown drive in the second half. So they can get run over too.
Yeah, but Buffalo is a team that if they could win the Super Bowl. And they could also get eliminated in the first round. But they have potential to beat anybody. Like if Buffalo was in the I would feel the same way.
Well, I would feel the
Baltimore.
same way if they played Buffalo. Buffalo could beat the Ravens
without question.
So
giving up an 8-minute drive that doesn't mean anything to me because they make enough stops. They make enough stops to win games, or they make opportune stops to win games.
40 and overcast is the forecast in Baltimore.
That's beach weather for them.
That's balmy.
Beach weather. Yeah, that's about as good as it gets in Baltimore in basically February.
And anything. Baltimore's one of the armpits of the America.
Sounds like you're going Chiefs, Doug.
No, I didn't say that. I said I don't trust them, but I just think they're the better team.
Yeah, where's
31-21 Ravens.
Where's Baltimore's weakness? They also have the best field goal kicker in the history of football too, which not that doesn't matter, but
I'm just tired. I don't want to. I can't handle 2 Harbaughs winning. I just can't. I can't. I don't mind. I don't mind the Harbaugh of the Ravens. I admire him, that longevity. It's never been about him. His brother, he's just weird. You can tell that's a
John. I've always liked John Harbaugh though. He's a good coach. I mean,
I like him as a player. I think he's kind of like he's gone off the rocker a little bit. Like he just
Which one was the quarterback? Jim was the quarterback.
John's the guy from Baltimore, which I've always respected him. I've always thought he's done a hell of a job to be there that long, and like his team has gone through, like they've changed their MO like 2 or 3 times, and they're still successful. He's had a defense in one, he's had an offense in one, he's had more defense than offense. He's won. He went through a quarterback change. He smoothed over from a Super Bowl winning quarterback to a guy that you weren't sure about, and all of a sudden, you know what I mean? Like he feels like he dodges raindrops and he keeps getting better. And the guys you can tell they respect him and they play the way the Ravens are supposed to, and that means something. Now his brother, who I loved him as a quarterback, he just seems like he gone off the deep end a little bit. Like he's just weird now. Ever since he came back from Stanford, it's always California that screws you up. Came back all weird, like just different.
Yeah. Wait, from Stanford, San Francisco to Michigan?
Yeah. Figure that one out.
I really think he's just flirting with the NFL. I'm going to go sign
But why? Why? Why would you ever go back to the NFL? You took a team in the Super Bowl, and now you can coach Michigan till you're 89 years old. Why would you ever leave?
Especially since they won for the first time since 95, something like that. So crazy.
Why would unless he wants to win a Super Bowl and a national championship? I mean, that makes sense. But
but how many guys have ever done? Yeah, how many guys have done that?
Why any coach would want to go to the NFL is still beyond me. Why? The only thing I can think of is you don't want to recruit anymore. I mean, the draft is way easier to do than recruiting with the landscape that is now. Like, why would you ever want to coach? You get paid twice as much to be in college, and you don't get the scrutiny. Like, there's a lot more guys coaching for 10-plus years in college football than there are in the NFL. I mean, hell, they just ran Bill Belichick out of New England. Like, that's like hitting Santa Claus in the face with a snowball. You just don't do that.
Brad, selection on the sheet. Did you already give it?
I like the Ravens. I think the Ravens are just going to overpower them. I just think they're just too physical for the Chiefs. You know, I would say Ravens 31. I'd say 31-23, same score as Tampa Bay. I think as the Tampa Bay game, I think Kansas City gets a lot of field goals. I don't think they get a lot of touchdowns. I mean, that defense is really tough. You know, Pat Mahomes, listen, the one Super Bowl he did lose was against a great defense, and that was Tampa Bay defense. The year Tampa Bay won the Super Bowl. So, you know what? I think that Baltimore's defense is just as good as that Tampa Bay defense, and I think that they're gonna beat Mahomes up and win the game.
I don't know. You can't tackle him without getting a penalty, though. So you got to keep that in mind too.
True.
That is a good point. But Tampa Bay.
If you breathe on Mahomes, it's a 15-yard penalty.
Well, he's going to get breathed on a lot. I'll tell you that.
Especially in January.
Yeah, but if they get to him and tackle him, they
We'll find out who the NFL really wants in the Super Bowl by the officiating crew.
Yeah. Well,
Last comment of the night. The Lions are off the schneid with the NFC Championship game. So down to 19 now. The Commanders and the Cowboys have the longest droughts in the NFC.
Longer than the Jets?
NFC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
and the Jets were there, and I was in college, and the Jets went the 2 straight.
Against Denver.
Not that long. No, they went with Rex, remember?
Twice.
In a row.
Yeah, that's right. Twice with Rex. I forgot about that. Yeah,
they went with Mark Sanchez. Let that
Mark Sanchez, baby.
Yeah, well, Rex was a really good coach.
They just had the beast of a defense.
The Dolphins haven't been since
1980.
No.
84?
No, not 1980.
No, I think they lost in 92.
They lost to the Redskins in the Super Bowl.
That was 82. They lost to the Niners in 85.
Okay.
They lost to the Niners in the Super Bowl in 85. They hosted the AFC Championship game in 92 and lost to Buffalo. When Buffalo was in the middle of their 4 Super Bowl
4 losses in a row.
We had a home game there. We had them at home and lost. I think it was 92 or 93. One of those. 92.
Well, in New York, the Dolphins. You know what the Dolphins are famous for in New York, and it's not.
I was in college.
Okay, well, Dan Marino.
Fake spike.
Yeah, the fake spike. That was number 1. Number 2, when the Jets had Freeman McNeil, and I don't know if you guys remember him, but
oh yeah,
when the Dolphins purposely wet the field so that nobody could run, when they flooded the field.
Yep.
They Jet fans have never forgotten that.
Oh, trust me, I remember that guy because all I saw was the back of his jersey running in the end zone.
Yeah. They went and they flooded the field so that McNeil couldn't run on that field. That was smart because then they had to use Richard. Then Richard Todd had to take over, and it didn't work out for Richard Todd. It never did.
I grew up before I was 10. I was like, damn, I saw Super Bowls, AFC Championship games. No, I haven't seen the last playoff game I've seen was 80, it was 90, it was 2002 or 2000? 2000?
Has it been that long?
Yeah, they beat the Colts. Lamar Smith rushed for 200 yards. Jay Fiedler was the quarterback. Jay Fiedler was the quarterback. Yeah. That was the last playoff win.
I thought they won a game with Chad Henne.
They got beat by the Ravens that year.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, okay. You're right.
Don, I was at the Flyers game yesterday, and I was not impressed. They played like garbage. Brad will have you covered on the Hockey Happy Hour tomorrow. For Doug Minkiewicz, Brad Ryer, I'm Rob Brinkman. Enjoy the game Sunday. We'll be back at it next Monday with early Super Bowl preview and review of the games. Peace out, everybody.